Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Soren Review. And today we're going to be doing a race review of the eighth race of the 2022 NASCAR Cup Series season at Martinsville. And as you saw from the title of this video, and I think what many fans are talking about, is whether the next gen car is the one producing these, I would say, boring races at the short tracks, or if it's just two unlucky short track races. Because the Martinsville race yesterday was not very exciting. It was 400 laps. It was We only had four lead changes the entire, or five, or I think five lead changes the entire race. Chase Elliott and William Byron were the only drivers that led more than 5 laps. I believe 5 laps were led by Ryan Blaney and one led by Austin Dillon, but William Byron won the race with 212 laps led. Chase Elliott finished 10th with 185. But I feel like this race was easily one of the least exciting races of the season. And this comes off our second short track of the season, not including the Clash. And I would arguably say our second most boringest race of the season. Arguably, I think this race was not nearly as exciting as Richmond. Richmond at least had a lot of fuel strategy. Martinsville just a lot of long green flag runs, which I don't mind, but it was very difficult to pass. And this was said by a lot of drivers. And so I just don't know how to feel. We only had four cautions, two stages, one for Denny Hamlin, who we'll talk about in a minute, did not have a good run at all. He finished 28th. Just not a good run for that 11 car. Um, and then one for Todd Gillen, who, despite qualifying in the top 10, finished 30th due to a accident. We did get a green overtime. It was very. It didn't change much, um, other than maybe a few positions, but nothing crazy. It was still William Byron who was able to hold on and win the race. I just don't know how to feel, and I'll elaborate more on what we should expect for the next gen car. I want to talk about what one driver said, um, or what a few drivers said about the track. But first, let's go to the results. So here's the top 10. William Byron, of course, wins. Joey Logano picks up a nice second place finish. That's his best finish of the year. He had a nice car. Austin Dillon, arguably one of the best runs of the season, was up there in the top 10, top 5. Was going to finish second prior to the overtime, but that's one of those position swaps that happened due to the overtime. Logano finishes second, Dillon third. Ryan Blaney had a fast car, top 5 all day. Ross Chastain sneaks into the top 5, did not have a good car early on in this race, but he methodically worked his way up to 5th. Now that is 5 top 5s for Ross Chastain this season. He is on a roll. Kurt Busch also sneaks into the top 10, though definitely more speed throughout the race. Kyle Busch, Eric Almirola, Chase Briscoe, and Chase Elliott round out the top 10. Chase Elliott running top 5 up until the last 100 laps really fell off the pace. Everybody else kind of ran all right. Other notables that didn't run very well. Kyle Larson finished 19th. Not a great run. Christopher Bell was very fast in the first half of this race, was top 5, top 10 for most of the race, and then that last run fell all the way down to 20th. Cole Custer was top 5 for most of the race. Just, again, not what he needed. Martin Truex Jr., 22nd, not a great run as well. Just not ideal. Only one DNF. BJ McLeod had a handling issue. And it was just a very odd race. Chase Elliott led the first 185 laps. We only had our first caution of the day that wasn't stage related was on lap 313, where Denny Hamlin stalled on the racetrack. It just William Byron led like a huge portion of the race after he took the lead from Elliott on lap 186. Only other time he didn't lead was from 304 to 308 when Blaney led during green flag pit stops and a caution during a caution period where Austin Dillon led a lap. Just not just a very strange race, especially for Martinsville. And I'm starting to notice that the spring Martins race is not as exciting as maybe we would hope it would be. But I also want to bring up a more prominent issue, and that's with the short track racing. Many fans are starting to ask, is it the next gen car and its symmetrical body? It's very similar racing specs. Everybody's getting it from the same source. Is that what's producing the average mediocre short track racing? Or is it just two unlucky races? Joey Logano, after hit the race, said it was very difficult to pass, and he said that it was definitely something to do with the car. I heard another driver or another some prominent news reporters say that they think it's the car, but Austin Dillon, who had a very fast car, finished third. He said that it was not the car, but rather the track conditions. It was very cold at Martinsville. And I hear it was very cold, very difficult to pass. Not a lot of rubber laying down. They showed this in the broadcast. Not a lot of rubber laying down, and that had to do with the lack of passing. I don't know what to say. We don't go to that many short tracks as I think we should, but 2 weeks in a row, Richmond saw, I would say, a decent number of passing compared to Martinsville. But it seems like just this short track car with these larger brakes and just the way they're designed, they may not be as crazy racing as we would be accustomed to on a short track. With that said, though, I do believe that there was something to do with the track at Martinsville with the lack of passing. I also believe that it had to do something with the horsepower. Anytime we've run less than 750 horsepower at Martinsville, I'm looking more towards or a high downforce package, mainly 2019. I'm alluding to. We don't see that much passing. We don't see that great of a race at Martinsville. So I'm wondering if maybe the lack of horsepower, 670 horsepower at these short tracks, is just too little. We just can't run that low of horsepower, and that could definitely be one of the issues for the NASCAR Cup Series. That maybe next year we may need to run 750 horsepower at tracks a mile or less, because arguably the three worst races this season have been Martinsville, Richmond, and Phoenix. um, Granted, Richmond and Phoenix were not nearly as bad as Martinsville, in my opinion, but I think we just have to see um, and wait till we go to other short tracks. I think, to be honest with you, the next track we'll be able to see is Gateway. That's the first one that comes to mind. But when we go to other short tracks, we'll see if the issue is fixed. We'll see if maybe it was just unlucky weather. Um, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. We can't really judge it off next week. It's a dirt race. And even though it's Bristol, it's still a dirt race. I don't know though. The next gen car has been very interesting so far to open up the season. It's been very unpredictable season, and it's going to be an even more unpredictable next 2 weeks. But that's going to do it for this video. You can see my rating. It is a rather low score. I don't like giving low scores, but 6.8 out of 10. I didn't want to give it a 6 because it's too low, but 7 just isn't a 70%. if that makes sense. But an alright race. I've definitely seen worse. But that's gonna do it for this video. Remember, you can use code Soren72 at checkout on Circle B Diecast. That's code Soren72. The month is April. In about 2 to 3 weeks, we have over 30 plus diecasts coming out. And you're going to need to use that code Soren72. You don't want to be paying $20 shipping if you're going to buy all those cars. Use code Soren72 at checkout at Circle B Diecast. Also, follow me on Twitter if you want at Review Soren. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and goodbye.